Evening started. I would like to thank everyone for coming tonight. We will get started by going through the board members that we have, and I think everyone is here except for one. So our current board members are Brett Almec, he could not make it here tonight. Laurel Christensen, if you could stand while I call your name, that'd be great. Jeremy Corner, back there. Molly Hoff. Keith Corlin. Amy Nordon. Linda Richter. Jen Sneller. Lisa. Helen Stukel. Helen's not here, that's right. That is all of us.
Yeah.
And myself. We were in honor of the CMA Awards that were last week. Oh, Kathy Anderson, sorry. So sorry, Kathy. I knew I was missing somebody. I had somebody double check it too. In honor of the CMAs that were supposed to be, or that were held last week, we were going to be Brad Paisley and Carrie Underwood. But due to supply chain issues, my tux and her fancy dress didn't show up, and neither did our guitars. So you're just stuck with Brad and Lisa's show tonight. So sorry about that.
Sorry. It was going to be so much fun too.
First thing I'll do is I'm going to read off the mission of the Community Foundation. If you don't know what the mission of our foundation is, it is to provide opportunities for our community to connect the legacy of the past to tomorrow's dreams through charitable giving and grant making. The Community Foundation success depends on donation from community members like everyone in this room. And in 2022, we gave out $79,000. So we'll talk a little bit about that later. So if we get a round of applause for that. And the goal of the grants is to strengthen the community, core values and structure, and awarded, and all the awards are given out to nonprofit organizations. With that, one of our main partners that we deal with on almost a daily basis, monthly basis for sure, is SWIFT, the Southwest Initiative Foundation. And we have Liz Cheney here, who will come up and talk about our relationship with SWIFT and how they help out the Granite Falls Community Foundation and many other places around Southwest Minnesota.
Thank you. Thanks so much. Good evening, friends. Yes, I am Liz Cheney. I am the Vice President of Philanthropy at Southwest Initiative Foundation. And in my role, I oversee resource development efforts, which looks like millions of dollars in gifts each year. Most of those dollars channeled into our community foundation partners and designated funds, which are kind of containers of money that are restricted for a specific place or organization or cause. So you heard that right. Millions of dollars in generosity each year flow through Southwest Initiative Foundation for the benefit of community. But it's not about the money, right? It's about what the money can do. Our mission is to connect people, invest in ideas, and build communities. And one of the ways that we build communities is through our Community Foundation program, which is why we're all here this evening. We work with 31 communities across the Southwest Minnesota region, as you can see on the map behind me. And it's a big part of our work that can be invisible. And it's invisible on purpose. We serve as the back office support and 501c3 public charity entity that allows your gifts to receive the highest possible charitable tax deduction. We also provide coaching and support to the local board in several areas: fundraising, marketing, grant making, board training. But like a true partnership, we are one small part. Your local advisory board here tonight that you were introduced to, they really do the heavy lifting and the hard work. They possess the knowledge about needs and opportunities in your community, along with holding connections that make the magic happen. Magic like Project Impact and all of the grants this evening. They raise money, they make decisions regarding grants and projects and where to focus those resources, and they work really hard to make this community better for future generations. So what's happening here in Granite Falls is super exciting, and we are honored to be a small part of it. Thank you for welcoming Southwest Initiative Foundation into your community this evening and always. And thank you for your generosity to this special place.
Thank you, Liz. With that, I will turn it over to Lisa, and she will give some thanks.
It's a month of Thanksgiving. This is a month of Thanksgiving. And we are going to start by thanking Dave and Liz Reimer of the Granite Run Golf Course for allowing us to be here tonight and supporting this project. I apologize, I've got to talk in the microphone. So thank you, Dave and Liz. And the staff here. Couldn't do it without the staff. Chad, Aaron, and Earl. This one's for you. We'd like to welcome our speaker and thank our speaker, Blue Lou, for coming in tonight. He'll be with us shortly. We had a little decorating committee today, and Joanne Fromm, who isn't in attendance, and Teresa Huffner were both here earlier and set up our decorations, and they allow us to be able to enjoy some fall festival, and so we appreciate them. And our speaker, we want to thank the banks, the two banks here in town here, Citizens Alliance Bank and FM Bank, for sponsoring our speaker today. So we appreciate them. Thank you.
With that, we'll get on to the main event. If we could have Jen come up, she will introduce our speaker.
I just want to say thanks for everyone for coming out tonight too. I had the opportunity to meet Lewis this fall. My daughter plays fall softball in the metro area, and this gentleman was umping, and my words that I've told our community members is he does more. He does more than any ump that I have ever seen in my career of coaching 16 years. This gentleman does more. He is bringing smiles and opportunity to kids that they didn't have before he was on their court or on their fields. So with that, I would like to bring Lewis up here to tell his story about why he does more.
How many of y'all thought that was amazing or liked it? One more time. You want to see me do it again? You want to see me do it again? What if I told you that backflip changed my life nearly almost overnight? Well, I know a lot of y'all wondering why I'm standing in front of y'all and who I am. And talking to Jen prior to this, I was trying to figure out my why, like what motivates me, what drives me, what gets me up every day to do what I do. Why do I do what I do? And right now, I'm currently a manufacturing engineer in Monticello, where I design machines that up to $70,000. And I'm designing these machines on SolidWorks, which is a computer software system. And I do that every day. But on the side, I also umpire, and which is why I'm standing in front of you today. And I go by the name of Blue Lou. But who am I? And I was trying to figure out what I wanted to talk to you guys about today. And we're digging deep, trying to figure out who I am and why I do what I do. I had to say it's from my upbringing. I've been through a lot of experiences. Overnight thing, that's just not for me no more. I did it. Not for me no more. So I was kicked off the team, and I started to decide, like, what am I gonna do? What am I gonna do? As far as work, to make my money, make my income. And during that time, that's when I started. I had met this guy doing intramural basketball, and he was like, we need some basketball officials. You ever think about doing basketball? Refereeing basketball? And up until this point, I didn't referee basketball at all. He was like, yeah, you can make $500 to $700 in 2 days. And I'm like, in 2 days, I can make, oh yeah, what I need to do. He was like, all right, come here, meet me here at this school Saturday. We got, I think I did like 10 games. He said, we're going to give you 10 games. We want to see how you are and see if you can fit into our organization. So I went and worked. Actually, I got the contact through my buddy. His name Jose, and he had met this guy at a game, and he gave him the contact. And then he got me and him to work together. So yeah, I started off doing basketball. So this is my sophomore year of college. I'm doing basketball on the weekends, and I worked at Subway during the week because I love Subway so much. So I was like, you know what? Why not work there? I get to eat free subs, and I'm making money. So I did that during the week my sophomore year when I wasn't playing football. I just worked the Subway, and I did the basketball on the weekends. And then, so after that basketball season had ended, the same guy who assigned me for basketball, he was like, you ever thought about doing softball or baseball? I'm like, no. He said, yeah, they pay $50 an hour. I'm like, $50? Oh yeah, of course, let me do that. I ain't know not a thing about it. I was like, I didn't know anything about softball, anything about baseball. But he said, yeah, you just come to this meeting, you buy your gear, it's $300, and from there you'll make that back the same weekend. I was like, okay, let's do it. So I went, I brought my gear, went to the baseball meeting. Here I am, becoming an umpire. And I just remember the first game, it was crazy. They put me on the JV softball game at Big Lake. And they didn't give me it wasn't no clinic before it or nothing. I just go out there, and I played 1 year of baseball, and that was like 6 years ago. So my knowledge on the rules and stuff wasn't too sharp, wasn't the best. So I just remember sitting there, and I was sitting there, and the little girl hit the ball, but it's going foul ball, and it go over the fence, and I'm like, oh, home run, I'm looking. The little girl started to run, and she stopped and looked back, and then the whole crowd just looking at me. They like, are you going to call foul ball? I'm like, oh, hey, foul ball, come back. Foul ball, get back here. I didn't know. I'm like, yeah, foul ball, come back. But I marked it as a ball instead of a strike. So here you go. And the count was 3-1. 3-1. Girl throw another ball. I'm like, walk. The coach like, it should be full count. She got the foul ball. I'm like, you know what? You're right. Full count. Full count it is. I didn't know nothing. I didn't know none of the rules. I was just out there. They said it's for the money. I was just like, all right, $50 an hour. Hey, I'm out there. So I didn't know nothing. So yeah, that first year was kind of rough, Strikes, I'm calling them at the head. I got parents yelling at me. They coaching. I'm like, oh man, it's all bad, And the crazy thing about it is that can discourage people a lot, If you out there and you're making the mistakes on the field, it's something I never did before. I never did it before. But my mindset is like, I'm an open-minded person. Like, I'm not afraid to try new stuff. I'm not afraid, I'll try new stuff. Never done it before. But then, I finished that year softball, and then COVID. I did another year, and I was just doing the basic mechanics at first, the stuff that they strike three. I'm just doing the regular strike count, and then one day I was working at South Middle School, and I was like, strike. No, it's funny actually. When I first started, I wasn't saying strike. I was like, ha, ha, trying to imitate the umpires from the MLB. And I remember one time I was doing it, and I was like, ha, on the strike three, and my voice crackled, and then everybody was like, what the heck? the little boy came up to me after, he's like, Blue, you need to get something funnier for your strike three. You know, you need to get something funnier. And I remember this actually because it was the last tournament of the year that day. And so I just remember driving home, and me and my boy, we just got done umpire. And when I'm just looking, I'm like, okay, he challenged me. You know me, I'm a person, when somebody challenge me, I'm going to do everything in my power to complete that challenge. So he challenged me, like, you need to get something funny. So I just remember later on going home that day, and me and my brother was just like, thinking of funny stuff we could do. I was like, what if I did like a bowling for strike three, just straight and just bowl them out? I was like, all right, that'd be cool. Then I was like, what if I do the bow and arrow actually, like a strike, like I'm doing the bow and arrow. I just had all these crazy thoughts of stuff I'll do. But then when it turned around the next year, I didn't even get to umpire because COVID had happened. And, you know, it wasn't no sports going on when it first happened. So then I found myself, you know, I did that year round. I went from basketball to softball, baseball, and right to basketball for work. And I didn't have basketball or softball because COVID. So I just remember that year, I had to wait a whole year, and I'm just thinking the whole year out, like all these crazy ideas that I can do to come to the next time I umpire softball. But yeah, during that time, I want to talk about the challenge of being in school. During that time, like I'm a STEM major, so I was doing manufacturing, engineering, and technology. That's what I went to school for. And during this time, I always remember, like, each semester, we'd get our schedule, and I see all these classes, like I do chemistry, physics, and calculus, and inventor. I'm seeing all these, my schedule, and I'm like, man, it ain't no way I'm finna pass these classes. There's no way at all. And I remember my advisor during the time, her name Nancy Sunheim, she was just always like, Lou, come on, you can do this, you got this, you're going to be all right. Just all these positive words of encouragement that she just kept telling me. And so when I'm taking them classes, I just was like, you know what, I can do it, I can do it. And I always kept doubting myself each semester before taking these classes. And I kept passing, you know, I was passing. I was like, all right, next semester, there's no way I'm gonna pass these classes. I can't do it. Just telling myself I can't do it. There's no way I'm gonna do it. Then I'll pass. All right, there's no way I'm gonna take physics, chemistry, and calculus at the same time and pass it. And then I'll pass. I'm like, okay. I kept doubting myself, and then instead I was like, started to, you know what, I can do this. Like, I can do this. Or, you know, and I started to see people who did it. I'm like, if they did it, then I can do it. So after COVID had happened, I was at a point in my life where I was getting ready. I had like 2.5 years of school. So I done up for 2 years already. And I missed the COVID year. I have 2.5 years of school left. And during this time, I was just wondering, like, what am I gonna do with my life? You know, what am I gonna do with my life? This before, you know, everything had to start to take off. I was wondering, like, what am I gonna do with my life? I know what I wanted to be. And what's crazy is how I even decided to be an engineer is because I always used to tell myself, like, oh, I know I can't have no sitting behind a desk job. That's not for me. I got to be hands-on. And how I know I wanted to be an engineer when I was I want to sound like 14, 15. I was at my grandma's house and the toilet hat broke. Something real simple. The chain just broke from the back to attach. They just attach when you flush it, they pull it up. It was broke. And I had went and I had took a shoestring and I tied it and I fixed it. Something real small. And I'm like, I just remember the satisfaction I had from it, from working hands-on and doing it. And I was like, you know what? I got to do something hands-on. I wanted to do something hands-on. So then I was trying to decide what I wanted to do. And I remember my junior year of high school, my coach, his name Coach Zorman, Drake Zorman. And he actually took me on my first college visit to Illinois State University. He took me to my first college visit, and I just remember on our drive down to the visit, he was asking me like, okay, Lou, what do you want to be when you get older and stuff? And I was like, well, I know I don't want to be sitting behind a desk. I want to be a construction worker. That's what I told him. I was like, I want to be a construction worker because, you know, you're hands-on and you hands-on with stuff, building the stuff. I'm like, I want to be a construction worker. He was like, oh yeah, you don't gotta go to school for that. He said, yeah, I got a buddy, he just worked his way up through the union. I'm like, you don't gotta go to school for that? I don't want to be a construction worker no more. I ain't doing that. And I was trying to decide what I wanted to be. And trying to decide what you want to be is real hard, actually. It's scary because you don't want to be this, you want to be a lot of stuff. Or sometimes people confused, they don't know what they want to be. And I was found myself in that situation, like, what am I going to be? So I just wanted to say, Coach Drake Zorman, he helped me realize that whatever you want to be, when I was talking to him, he was like, whatever you want to be, you can be it. You can do it. You're just going to have to put in the work. You're going to have to do the work. It's going to be challenging, and you're going to have to fail sometimes to succeed. And I just remember him saying, you got to fail to succeed. So like as I was saying, as I'm in college, take chemistry. I failed it the first time, actually. I failed it. I took calculus the first time. I failed it. It was another coding class I took. I failed it. And I just remember, I kept talking to my advisor, like, oh, I can't do it. Like, I tried, I can't do it. There's no way I can do it. I tried, I can't do it. Then the second time I passed chemistry, and then the second time I passed math. But it was this one class, G, it was a freshman class, a coding, computer class. And I remember I failed that class my sophomore year. Then I failed it again my junior year, at the end of my junior year. So here we are, my senior year. Last year summer, trying to decide I wanted to be still. And my friend Gregory Lewis, it was my roommate at the time, he had a book, and he gave me the book, and it's The Compound Effect, and it's by Darren Hardy, and it's talking about jumpstart your income, your life, and your success. And it's talking about putting your talents on display for the world to see, and how to maximize the opportunities around you. And I remember I always had a talent. I could backflip, which I've been doing since I was 10 years old. So what's crazy thing about it is after I read this book, the next day I was out softball, I was umpiring, and at that point I had started to do the strike three, the bow and arrow. And I look back and I just hear a whole bunch of chuckling, like strike three, and I'm doing my bow and arrow. And I'm doing it, and I look back and I see parents doing it with me. They laughing, they doing it with me. I'm like, oh, okay. They found it fun. But like I said, this book, it changed my mindset on how to maximize the opportunities around you. So I'm like, okay, they thought that was cool. So after the game, I had parents coming up to me like, hey, we got you on video doing strike three. And I'm like, oh my God, let me see it. They sent it, you mind sending me that? Up until this point, I was pretty much living under a rock. I didn't have Instagram, no TikTok, I wasn't on no social media. I was a pretty low-key dude. But that day, I remember I downloaded TikTok, YouTube, Instagram, and I uploaded this video of me doing a strike three to it. And it started to get views. And I'm like, oh, okay. So after I start to see that, I start to think like, okay, how can I make it more fun? How can I make it more interesting? And I know I can backflip. So I did my strike three, and I backflipped the very next day. So that Saturday, they sent me the video of the strike three, bow and arrow. Then that very next day, that Sunday, I did this bow and arrow with the backflip. And the crowd just like, oh my God. It started going crazy and cheering. And I had people coming up to me like, hey, can you do it again and again? And I'm just backflipping. And then, so yeah, I found a way to incorporate it into the game. After strike threes, on the last strike three at the end, I started to backflip. On home runs, I started to backflip. And, people started to like it. And they thought it was fun. So then I just remember going home, trying to sleep at night, and I'm doing 10U all day, and they doing cheers. Right? And I just remember going to sleep, and these cheers just constantly replaying in my head. And like, F-O-F-O-U-L-U-L, girl, you found that ball. I just had these cheers going through my head. So then that next weekend, I'm umpiring, and I accidentally did one of the cheers with them without even realizing it. I was like, F-O, and then they started F-O. The players started interacting with it. They started going back with me. I'm like, oh, okay, this is fun. So then I just started doing their cheers with them, and backflipping, and I'm cheering them. And then I didn't realize, like at first I was just doing it. It was just me having fun, just doing it to have fun. I didn't realize that I was actually making a big impact and inspiring kids' lives. Until one day, a little girl saw me, and she came up to me, and she was like, oh my God, and she was crying. She was like, oh my God, I remember you did my game. I had so much fun. I never had that fun in my life. Are you going to do my game again? And I was like, oh, I'm on this field, and she was on the other field. And I remember the little girl, she had to be like 10 years old, and she started crying, and she asking her coach, I want him to do my game. I want him to do my game. And I had realized, I'm like, Then I have to think about it, like when I was playing sports, I never had no umpire or nobody that's cheering with me, encouraging me, backflipping, and doing stuff for me. So then I just started to figure out ways to just even be more fun. I started doing the bowling on different strike counts. And crazy thing about it is it started to gain a lot of attention. So Carol Levin, Boyd Hooper, he reached out to me on Instagram last year, actually, and it was like, hey, a softball parent had hit me up, said that they think you'll be a good story. And he came out. I didn't see the message until 10 months later. I think that he messaged me last year, softball season, but I didn't see it till January of this year. And I went back and I'm going through it. I'm like, oh, hey, is this opportunity still available? Hey, we can do it. He was like, all right, when softball season comes, we're going to come out and interview, do a story. So fast forward, they came out. They did the story, the Carol Levin story. Then it got reached NBC. It started play all over the country. And yeah, ever since then, my life has started to change. It started to open doors for me, and it allowed me to be in this position I am today, to sit here and share my story with y'all. And now it's had open doors for me that I never really thought was possible. I got the opportunity Kelly Clarkson had me up. I had the opportunity to audition for the show. The Savannah Bananas, I'm interviewing with them. I got an opportunity to travel next year and go umpire state to state. So it's just been opening opportunities for me. But all this wouldn't have been possible if I never read that book. That book was life-changing. It helped my mindset. It made me realize that the smallest act of kindness or the smallest gesture and displaying your talent can be very beneficial to many people or impact people's lives. So, yeah, that's where I'm at today. And one thing about it is I'm just consistent. I work my job, engineering, and I'm getting off work and I'm going 7 days a week. I'm umpiring 7 days a week after that. So I was being consistent with it, and it started to get more attention. Then my mindset started to okay. I started YouTube and started doing public interviews and just trying new stuff that I had never really tried before. I guess the biggest thing is that you never know the smallest act of kindness you can do, and you can be real beneficial to people. Well, I just had a list of people who have been legendary in my life, impactful in my life, and I just want to say that we all are the light in this world. We can leave our impact in many ways. Let's maximize the opportunities around us. And whenever we can be good to people because you never know what it can do for you. Other than that, thank you for having me. So if anybody got any questions, feel free to ask.
So you're doing umpiring full time now, or are you also working?
So yeah, I umpire full time, well, pretty much full time, and I work full time. So I work my hours